They call it smart money. But what if I told you that some of the most praised investment moves are actually slow financial suicide? Not because they're scams, but because they're dressed up like strategy. And while they look good on paper, they quietly drain your future wealth, limit your freedom, and give you the illusion of security, while locking you into financial mediocrity. In this video, I'm exposing 7 investments that are commonly recommended, often praised, and widely misunderstood. The kind your financial advisor might applaud, your friends might copy, and your future self might hate. These aren't obvious mistakes. They're respectable. They're clever. They're smart. And that's what makes them dangerous. Because the truth is, you don't need to be reckless to destroy your net worth. All you need is to follow bad advice that sounds intelligent. So pay close attention, especially to the last one. It's the most deceptive of all, and it could already be draining your potential. Let's begin. 1. Whole life insurance, sold as an investment. It sounds perfect on the surface, insurance and investing all in one. What could go wrong? Everything. Whole life insurance is one of the most aggressively sold investment products to the middle class. And according to Dave Ramsey, it's the payday loan of the middle class. Why? Because it combines the worst of two worlds, expensive insurance and low-return investing. You're paying 5 to 10 times more than you would for term life, just to build a cash value that takes decades to be worth anything. Here's the math they don't want you to do. A healthy 35-year-old might pay $4,000 a year for a whole life policy with $500,000 in coverage, while a term life policy would cost only $400 for the same coverage. That's $3,600 a year you could invest in a real wealth-building vehicle. Meanwhile, the cash value of your whole life policy might take 10 to 15 years just to break even with the premiums you've paid. You're not investing. You're feeding a commission machine. Smart investors follow a simple formula: buy term, invest the difference. Use cheap term life insurance to protect your family while you're building wealth, and invest the rest in index funds, ETFs, real estate, or a business. You're not just saving money. You're reclaiming financial control. Because whole life doesn't protect your future. It delays it, and it makes someone else rich along the way. 2. Owning a second home in a bad location. Real estate is often seen as a safe bet, a tangible asset that always appreciates. But the truth? Bad property is just a beautiful money trap. Especially when it's in the wrong place. Many investors get lured into buying second homes or rental properties in low-demand areas, thinking they've struck gold. But as any seasoned investor will tell you, if it doesn't cash flow or appreciate, it's not an investment, it's a liability with a mailbox. Vacancy rates, high maintenance costs, and weak rental demand can turn your second home into a silent cash vacuum. That great deal on a lake house 2 hours from civilization? It might sit empty 10 months out of the year, while you cover taxes, repairs, insurance, and lawn care. One roof leak, one HVAC failure, and suddenly your passive income becomes actively stressful. What's the ROI of an empty house with a perfect lawn? 0. Smart real estate investing isn't about location in theory, it's about demand in reality. You need exit strategies, tenant profiles, market research, and liquidity options. Because a second home that doesn't produce income, doesn't sell easily, and drains cash every month, is not wealth. It's just dressed up as one. If no one wants to live there or rent it, what exactly did you buy? 3. Timeshares, again. But framed as smart vacation investments. It starts with a friendly smile and a free weekend getaway. Before you know it, you're signing a contract for what's sold as a smart vacation strategy: guaranteed holidays, luxury stays, and ownership in paradise. But timeshares are not investments. They are financial quicksand wrapped in palm trees. According to a study by the University of Central Florida, 85% of timeshare owners regret their purchase. That's not a red flag, that's a bonfire. Here's the problem: you're locked into an ongoing cost with zero flexibility, virtually no resale value, and annual fees that climb every year, whether you use the property or not. And good luck trying to sell it. The secondary market is flooded with desperate owners offering their contracts for pennies, or literally paying companies to take them off their hands. You're not investing in vacation.
You're investing in obligation. True financial freedom means choice, not commitment to one overpriced resort in the same city every year.
If you want luxurious vacations, you can rent them when and where you want, often cheaper, with no strings attached.
Use platforms like Airbnb or luxury travel sites that give you options, not anchors. Because locking in lifetime memories shouldn't mean locking out your future wealth.
4. Buying pre-construction properties without exit strategy. Pre-construction sounds brilliant: buy early, get in cheap, sell high.
But too often, what you're really buying isn't bricks and mortar, it's hope. Hope that the market goes up.
Hope that the builder finishes on time. Hope that buyers will appear when you're ready to sell. And hope, by itself, is not a strategy.
It's speculation with a fresh coat of paint.
Many investors pour money into pre-construction condos or developments without a clear exit strategy.
No rental plan. No resale roadmap. No understanding of market saturation.
Then come the delays, cost overruns, and worst of all, no demand when it finally hits the market. Meanwhile, you're stuck paying for a property that hasn't appreciated, can't generate income, and may not even be finished.
You didn't invest in real estate. You invested in uncertainty. A wise investor asks, who will want this when I don't?
If you can't answer that with data, not feelings, you're gambling, not investing.
The real return isn't in blueprints.
It's in cash flow, liquidity, and market resilience. And unless you've built a real-world plan for exit, all you've done is hand your future over to a construction company and crossed your fingers.
That's not wealth building. That's wishful thinking with a down payment. 5. Overfunding a 529 college plan. Planning for your child's education is admirable.
But when it starts to choke your own financial growth, it turns into self-sabotage.
Many well-meaning parents overfund 529 college plans, thinking they're making a smart move.
But these accounts come with serious limitations, and when life changes, flexibility disappears. As the saying goes, you can borrow for college.
You can't borrow for retirement. Here's the catch: 529 plans are tax-advantaged only when used for qualified education expenses.
If your child gets a scholarship, chooses a cheaper path, or doesn't attend college at all, withdrawing the money for other uses triggers taxes and penalties.
And while your kid's future is important, so is yours.
You still need emergency funds, retirement accounts, and capital for unexpected opportunities, not all of your savings locked into a rigid education fund.
The best approach? Balance.
Contribute enough to take advantage of tax benefits, but don't sacrifice your own financial foundation in the process. Your child doesn't need you broke at 65 just so they graduate debt-free at 22.
Real financial leadership means showing them how to build wealth, not how to burn it in their name.
Prioritize strength at home before funding the dorm room.
6. Long-term low-yield bonds for safety. It feels safe. Predictable. Responsible.
You buy a 20-year bond yielding 2% and tell yourself, at least I won't lose money. But here's the truth: you're already losing, silently, consistently, and guaranteed. With inflation hovering around 4% annually in recent years, that so-called safe bond is actually eroding your purchasing power every single day.
It's not safety. It's slow financial death.
Ray Dalio, one of the most respected hedge fund managers in the world, has warned repeatedly, cash and bonds are becoming trash.
Why? Because in an inflationary environment, fixed returns don't just underperform, they reverse your progress.
Holding $100,000 in bonds that yield 2% while inflation climbs at 4% means your real return is negative and compounding in the wrong direction.
You're not growing wealth. You're burying it.
Now, bonds have a place, but only as part of a broader strategy.
They're not meant to be the engine of your portfolio.
If you're near retirement and need stability, use short-duration bonds or Treasury inflation-protected securities. Tips. But don't confuse predictability with progress. Because doing nothing risky can be the riskiest thing of all, especially when time and inflation are working against you. 7. Getting into investment groups or clubs without knowledge.
It starts with excitement.
A friend invites you into a private investment group. There's buzz, big promises, shared spreadsheets, and the comfort of groupthink. But here's the danger: crowds feel safe even when they're headed off a cliff. Many so-called investment clubs are driven by hype, peer pressure, or blind trust in someone who sounds confident.
But confidence isn't competence. And popularity isn't performance.
Without proper due diligence, education, or clear oversight, these groups can become breeding grounds for bad decisions. From crypto pump and dumps to overpriced real estate syndicates and fake angel investing collectives, the stories are everywhere. In 2022 alone, U.S. investors lost billions in schemes disguised as community-based investing. What started as smart collaboration ends with one person holding the bag, and it's usually the newest one in the room.
The solution? Learn before you leap. Never invest in something just because others are doing it. Ask, what's the business model? Where's the cash flow? Who's managing it, and what's their track record?
Smart money isn't loud, and it never needs hype to justify itself.
Because if you're outsourcing your critical thinking to a crowd, you're not investing. You're just hoping someone else did their homework. Concluso.
So here's the uncomfortable truth: not all investments are created equal.
Some look smart, feel smart, are sold as smart.
But underneath the surface, they quietly sabotage your future. They drain your liquidity, lock up your freedom, and deliver returns that barely outpace inflation, if at all.
And worst of all,
they waste the one resource you can never get back: time. The market doesn't punish ignorance immediately. It waits. Then it compounds your mistakes slowly, year after year, until you look back and realize you were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And that's the most dangerous financial strategy of all. As Morgan Housel says in The Psychology of Money, doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. So now I ask you, which one of these smart investments have you been sold? Which ones are keeping you comfortable, but not wealthy? Drop a comment below with, "No more illusions." Because the difference between looking smart and building wealth isn't in what you buy, it's in what you question. And now, you know what to question next.